Hello pattern lovers, you're welcome and welcome back. It's yet another exciting tutorial, and in today's video we'll be cutting this beautiful dress with princess dart, a symmetric built up neckline, a basic sleeve and the mid hip pleated skirt. So if you're interested in learning how to go about the pattern drafting of this beautiful dress for the perfect fit, then kindly watch this video to the very end and let's get straight into it. So on my pattern paper, I've gone ahead to mark out the basic lines and I make sure I have a space from the shoulder up and my paper is on fold. So you're going to have your bust point, under bust and then the waistline. On the shoulder line, I'm going to mark the shoulder measurement divided by 2. Then I'm going to go down to the chest line. And on that point again, I'm going to mark the shoulder measurement divided by 2. And then mark the chest line again on this other side just so I can have a straight line. And now I'm going to use my ruler to connect these lines out. Now I'm going to mark 3 inches here, which I'll be using as my neck width for the high neck. Then I'm going to come down here by 1 inch for the shoulder slope, then slant it to the 3 inches this way. The next thing I'll be doing now is to measure what I have here and divide that into 2 equal halves. Then on that point, I'll be going in by ½ inch. Then come to the chest line and mark the bust measurement divided by 4. And now I'm going to mark out the armhole this way, cover the armhole this way. You can see me do it with my ruler. Now I'm going to come to the waistline and mark the bust span divided by 2. I'll mark it on the waistline and also on the bust point line. That is your nipple to nipple divided by 2. Now I'm going to start from the shoulder slope and come down here by 4 inches because that is where I want the princess seam to sit. Now I'm going to connect the bust span I have on the waistline and also on the bust point line. And now I'm going to use my curve to curve from the 4 inches I have on the armhole line to the bust span I have on the bust point line this way. So initially I connected it wrongly and I had to correct it. The next thing now is to do the dart intake, and I'll be doing 0.625 on both sides of this dart line on the waistline, which is 1.25. I don't want to do too much today, so on the under bust I'm doing 0.75 going to the center and then 1 inch coming to this side, which is 1.75 under bust tightening. Now I'm going to connect the darts this way, the one on the waist to the under bust. Then I'm going to use my curve to curve from the under bust to the bust point on both sides, just like this. The next thing I'll be doing now is to come out here by 1 inch. Then I'm going to measure this line. I'll be measuring it this way today, just so you know that it's still the same thing with the previous way I used to do it. Now whatever value I have there, I'm going to make sure I have it on this 1 inch I came out, and this is it right here. Then I'm going to use my curve and place it this exact way you see me place it, and curve from the bust point to this 1 inch I have here. Then I'm going to recurve the armhole from this new curve this way. Then go ahead and clean off the initial curves that we would no longer be needing. The next thing now is to take the waist measurement divided by 4 plus the 1.25 dart intake. I will replace it, and now I'm going to connect it to the bust measurement this way. Then I'm going to come down on the bust point on this side by 1.5, which is the difference between my front length and then the back length, and this will be the bust dart. Next thing now is to just go ahead and trace out the bust dart just the same way you can see me do it, so that I don't want to trace out all of these markings today, so I just want to do this side because that's where we need most for this tracing. Okay, I just traced out the bust dart, and now I'm going to get the midpoint of the bust dart. Then on that point I'll be going out by ½ inch, and now I'm going to connect it the same way you can see me do it down, and then this way up. And that's pretty much about it. Next thing now is to just go ahead and cut out this half length, and I'm going to show you how to close the bust dart after cutting out this side. this way. So after cutting it out, you're going to take one of them and then you slash one of the dot lines, apply your water glue in between, and then you place it on the other dot line this way. But if you're using a zero tape, you can just go ahead and tape it down. Then I'll repeat the same thing on this other side, even though you cannot see it, but I can see the tracing. So now we are done with this side. Now coming to the center, I'm going to just cut it out this exact way you can see me do it. Then I'm going to trace out the shoulder slope and then the shoulder line and the neck width. Then use my pencil to highlight it this way. Now I'm going to use this ruler and place it this way. You know, I usually use the angle 45 that I have on this ruler. But in case you don't have this, the easiest way, but not the most accurate way to do this, is to just go ahead and place your ruler this way and connect it to the midpoint of the pattern paper. Do you understand? Then I'm going to go up on this new line from the neck width by 1.5. I went up 1.5. That's how high I want it. If you want it higher, you can go ahead and do 2 inches there. Then I'll repeat the same thing here, 1.5 from the neck width upwards on this new line. Okay, you can also do 1 inch if you want it lower, but yeah, depending on how high you want it. Then I'll go ahead and blend in the shoulder slope just like this. So the next thing now is to go ahead and start from this side. I will first label this left and right, then coming to the right hand side, which is the direction of the neckline. I'm going to go down here by how deep I want the neckline to be, and I'm doing 6 inches. You don't want this to be too deep except you want to expose your body, but the one on the thumbnail is not deep and it's not too high. So I'm using 6 inches, then coming to this side in this same direction, I'm going to come in by 2 inches. Okay, I'll mark it, then I'm going to make sure I have my 6 inches neck depth again on that point. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to clean off the unwanted lines so that you know clearly where we are going for. And after doing that, I'm going to connect from here to here, knowing that this is our neck depth on this point. So I'm going to place my curve. Watch how I'm going to place this and how I'm going to connect this so that it will give you exactly that shape you see on the thumbnail. Okay, so I first place my curve this way, then after that I'm going to connect it like this to the neck width this way. Can you see what I did? And then I'm going to place my curve again and connect this other side from this neck width to the neck depth, placing my curve this way so that it will give you the exact shape you have on the thumbnail. And that's pretty much about it. The neckline is set and the pattern is also set. The next thing we're going to do now is to simply cut this out, and I'm cutting out this way you're seeing me do it. So right after cutting it out and placing the other parts on side by side, you can see that the front pattern is set. Now moving over to the back pattern, I already have a space from the shoulder line up. Make sure you also have a space. Then you're going to start from that line and go down to your half length. So for the front pattern, I use 16.5, and here you can see that I'm using 15 inches as the half length. The other 1.5 is what we used as the bust dart. Then I have the center back. Starting from the center back, I'm going to mark the shoulder measurement divided by 2 on the shoulder line. Then go down to the chest line, and again on that point I'll mark the shoulder measurement. Now I'm going to connect it out this same way. Then I'll mark my neck width of 3 inches and then come down here by 1 inch for the shoulder slope and slant from that 1 inch to the 3 inches neck width like this. Now I'm going to get the midpoint of this line. Just have it in mind and leave it there. Now I'm coming to the waistline. From the center back line, I'll be coming in by 0.625 to contour the center back line. Then I'm going to place my curve this way and contour it up, just as you can see me do it. So this will be our new center back. And starting from this new line on the chest line, I'm going to mark the bust measurement divided by 4. Then on the waistline, the waist measurement divided by 4. And now I'm going to connect it this way. I'm not doing that for this back pattern. If you want, you can do it. Then you're going to curve your armhole to meet that midpoint of the shoulder line we measured earlier. Then again, you're going to connect this line this way from the neck width. And then after doing that, you're going to go up by 1.5 because that's how high we are doing it. Then after that, I'm going to blend in the shoulder slope like this, and then I'm going to measure what I have here. Can you see? Whatever it is I have, then I'm going to make sure I have it on this center back line. Then I'm going to connect it straight, just so you see what you are doing. Okay, and now I'm going to clean up the unwanted part, then come down here by 0.25, just so we blend the neckline a bit. And now you're going to just blend it in this way. You can try to just leave it like that if you don't want to. You can also do half inch if you want. Then after cleaning up the initial center back line, I'll follow the center back contour line and add my zipper allowance of 1 inch. And at this point, whatever zipper allowance you are comfortable working with, go ahead and add it. But make sure you're following your center back contour line. And then I'll place my curve the exact way I used to contour the center back earlier and connect the zipper allowance. And of course, extend the neckline to it. And that's it. You are going to cut out this back pattern. You can see that this pattern drafting is just so easy and not complicated. So after cutting it out like we always do, I'm going to match up the side front and then the side back, and the back is usually longer. Okay, so you're going to just shed out that part, and now it's equal. So now we have the side front and then the back pattern, we have the center front, and then we have the other side front. Moving over to the skirt, I already have this paper ready, and I have a starting point line that I already marked, which will serve as the waistline. Then I'm going to start from this line now and go down to my hip line. My hip line is 8 inches, but I'm marking 9 inches here. You can decide to maintain your exact hip line, or you add 1 inch to it. So I'm adding 1 inch to my hip line, which is 8 inches, and I marked 9 inches here. So on the waistline, I'm going to mark the waist measurement divided by 4. Then coming to the hip line, I'm going to mark the hip measurement divided by 4 plus extra 1 inch is. That is very important, okay? Your hip measurement divided by 4, then you're going to add from half inch upwards, depending on how free you want it to be on that point, okay? Then that's pretty much about it. I'm going to cut out this front pattern. Then after cutting it out, this is what it's looking like. Then for the back pattern, I already created the center back line, and I have the waistline and then the hip line. So on the waistline, from that center back line, I came in 0.625, which we use to contour the center back for the upper part. So I will start from this line now and take the waist measurement divided by 4. Then on the hip measurement divided by 4 plus the 1 inch is we added to the front pattern. So after that, now I'm going to clean up the initial center back, then follow that curve I have here, or that slant line, and add my zipper allowance of 1 inch. Make sure you're maintaining the same zipper allowance you added to the upper part, and that you're following your center back contour line to add the zipper allowance. And after that, I'm going to cut out the back pattern for the skirt. Make sure you label, please, because this back pattern can be so confusing. So make sure you label the hip and the center back especially. Then you go ahead and cut it out. Then after cutting it out, I tried to match it up side by side with the front pattern, and I had to shed off some part that I have excess on. Okay, so now for the pleats, what you're going to do to get that fullness or that pleat is to measure what you have on the front skirt. It's the same thing with what we have on the back part. That's the hip line, yeah. So you're going to measure that, and then you're going to times that by 4. Whatever you measured here on the front skirt, you're going to that is the hip line. Okay, you're going to times that by 4. So the hip line is 10 and half plus the ease, yeah, that the whole of them is 10 and half, and you're going to cut this unfold, meaning that this 10 and half I measured there, by the time you open it up, is going to be 21. Okay, so you're going to do 21 times 4. Do you understand? And that is going to give us 84 inches. So for this front skirt now, you're going to cut out a fabric of 84 inches for the pleat, and you're going to repeat the same thing with the back. Okay, so you have 84 for the front and also 84 for the back. That's what will give you that pleat you see there, that fullness. But if you want it fuller anyway, Like if you want bolder plates, you can also go ahead and increase the numbers. We have 84 here. You can decide to make it 90, which would mean 180. So what we mean now is that the pleat you're going to have here, yeah, you're going to have 84 here for the front skirt, and then the for the length, what you're going to do is to minus what you have here. I still have my shoulder line here, so measuring from that point all the way to the hem of the skirt, I have about 25 and a half. So you're going to minus this from your whole gown length. Let's say your gown length is 40 inches minus 25. You're going to have about 15 inches left. Okay, so that 15 inches will be the length for the plate. Then for the width is what we just calculated, which is 84 for the front and then 84 for the back. But if you want, you can decide to add them together, and that would give you 84 times 2, which is 168. So you're going to cut a fabric of the width is going to be 168 and then the length 15 inches. So you're going to cut the center front of fold, and after that you're going to trace out the neckline, or better still, you place it like this on your fabric and then you cut it out. Then you're going to cut times 2 of this, which you can use just this one to cut out for the 2 since it's the same with this other one. Then we have the back pattern, which you're going to cut times 2 of that, and then we have the front skirt, which you're going to cut on fold, and then the back skirt, which you're going to cut times 2 of that. We already have the zipper allowance, and then we have the pleat, which I said you're going to have 168 if you want to cut it together, or 84 into 2 if you want to cut just for the front, like you want to cut for the front separately and then for the back separately. But yeah, that's pretty much about it for this sew pattern. The sleeve is just a basic sleeve, and you're going to make sure you have it to the length that you want. Go ahead and transfer this to your fabric, add the necessary allowance, and happy sewing. And with this, I'll be seeing you in my next one. Bye bye.